Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about that feeling, that moment of just pure cold sweat panic that every single one of us knows all too well, the moment the internet just dies. But what if you could take all that chaos and turn it into a crystal clear step-by-step process? Well, let's dive in and see how it's done. You hear it shouted across the office, you get that frantic text message. Maybe you've muttered it yourself. The internet is down. And in that moment, it can honestly feel like the world is ending. But the key to handling that crisis is having a plan. So the real question isn't if it will happen, but where do you even begin?
You know, the first rule of network troubleshooting is actually pretty simple. Before you touch a single cable, before you type a single command, you have to get a handle on the scale of the fire. You've got to know, are we dealing with a little flickering candle here or a full-blown inferno? I want you to think like a detective arriving at a crime scene, or maybe a doctor in the ER. They don't just start randomly running tests, right? No, they follow a process. They take the vitals, they secure the scene. And for us, when it comes to network problems, taking the vitals means asking the right questions, and crucially, in the right order. Okay, so this first phase, it's all about triage. And I want to be really clear, we are not trying to find the solution yet. Not at all. This is all about understanding the size, the scope, and the urgency of the problem. We need to figure out the impact before we do anything else.
Specifics are absolutely everything here. A ticket that just says, it's broken? That's a dead end. It goes nowhere. We need details. Can you not connect at all? Is it just that your connection is incredibly slow? Or are you getting kicked off the network every few minutes? Each one of those answers points you in a completely different direction. This question, this is a massive fork in the road. Think about it. Is it just one person on one laptop? Or is the entire department, the whole floor, maybe even the whole building down? That single question instantly tells you if you're hunting for an issue with one machine or if you've got a widespread outage on your hands. A timeline. You know, it holds incredible power in these situations. Did this problem just start an hour ago? Or did it begin, say, right after that new software update was pushed out? Pinpointing the when is often the absolute fastest way to discover the what, that specific change that probably triggered the whole thing.
So let's be perfectly clear about this. These first few questions, they're not really for technical diagnosis. They are for business diagnosis. They're all about helping you figure out the ticket's urgency. You're trying to determine if this is a low-priority thing or a full-blown, all-hands-on-deck crisis. And that brings us to the number one goal of this phase. Are any critical business functions down? This is your number one priority. Is the payment system down? Can people not access the customer database? That is what defines a true emergency and separates it from pretty much everything else. Okay, so we've assessed the damage, we know the scope of the problem. Now we can finally shift gears from triage to investigation. It's time to put that detective hat back on and start gathering the technical clues we need to actually crack this case. This is one of the most powerful questions you can ask. Are you plugged in with an Ethernet cable or are you on Wi-Fi? The answer immediately splits the world of potential problems right in half. I mean, if the wired connection works but the wireless one doesn't, you've just isolated the entire problem to your Wi-Fi gear. It's so simple, but it's incredibly effective. All right, now let's try to draw a map of the problem. Is it only affecting people on the third floor? Or maybe it's just devices on a specific network segment, what we call a subnet. By isolating the problem either physically or logically, you get so much closer to finding the exact switch or router or access point that's causing all the grief.
Oh, this is pure gold. An error message isn't a sign of failure. It's a clue this system is leaving behind for you. Cannot connect is vague. It's not helpful. But an error like DNS probe finished an X domain or IP address conflict, that's a specific searchable key that can unlock the solution in seconds. You always want to ask for the exact wording.
So we've assessed the impact, we've gathered our clues. Now it's time for the final stage of questioning.
Before we roll out the heavy artillery and start digging into the complex stuff, we have to confirm that the simplest, most common culprits have been ruled out. Now, this isn't about being dismissive. We're not just throwing out the classic, have you tried turning it off and on again? This is all about being efficient. The most common problems have the simplest solutions, and you know what? Ruling them out first saves a tremendous amount of time for everyone.
So let's walk through these basics. First, the classic. Restart the device, restart the router. That alone clears out so many temporary software glitches. Second, ping the gateway. It's a simple command that sends a little signal to your local router just to see if it replies. It basically confirms you're connected to your own network. Third, check DNS. Think of DNS as the internet's phone book. If it's not working, your computer can't translate a name like google.com into an address it can actually use. These 3 checks alone, they solve a huge number of issues.
Is this a brand new, never-before-seen issue? Or is this, that problem that seems to pop up every month? Understanding the history is so critical. If it's happened before, well, how was it fixed? A quick search through old support tickets can often give you the answer without you having to reinvent the wheel. Look, having the right questions is really only half the battle. What truly separates a good troubleshooter from a great one is how you communicate, how you document, and how you deal with the human side of the problem. This is the pro-level stuff. These aren't just tips, they are absolutely essential habits. You gotta use clear, simple language, no jargon. Document every single response, because your future self or your colleagues will thank you. And this is a big one. Explain why you're asking a question. It builds trust and makes the user feel like a partner. And of course, always keep the business impact right at the front of your mind. This quote really just sums up the entire method perfectly. It's like a funnel, right? You start broad, you figure out the overall impact, then you narrow your focus down to the specific technical symptoms, and you finish by confirming the absolute basics. It's just a logical flow that takes you from total chaos to real clarity. Ultimately, I want you to remember this is more than just a checklist. It's really a framework for thinking. It takes that initial panicked cry for help and channels it into a methodical, efficient process that's just way less frustrating for everybody involved. This is how you don't just solve tickets, it's how you build a better support system. And I'll leave you with this one final thought. Look, restarting a computer might get a user back online, and that solves the immediate symptom. But following a structured approach like this, that's what helps you dig deeper and find the root cause. So ask yourself, are you just putting a bandage on it, or are you actually curing the disease? Because that's the difference between a quick fix and a real solution.